It always comes to this. More nice shit. Hello there, guys. Back into no tattoo progress update today. Where I last left off, I had talked about and showed off my more recent session. I had 3 sessions last week. I had a session with Ashlyn here at the shop, the girl who previously did the Nosferatu white and black on black tattoo. We later added a red background too. We did a mimic on my right calf. I like to do things in pairs, so Ashlyn did my left calf, and I always intended for her to do my right calf from that point. Similar, Alex has done my my 2 front of shins. I'll probably have her do my my right knee as well, because she did the left knee recently, although that knee doesn't have as much space to work around. That was done more or less by design, and and what I mean to say by that is I intended to have sort of patchworky legs, and so they're ending up with gap fillers by design. I intended for that to be the case. I didn't know exactly where those were going to be, but I specifically did not choose to do leg sleeves with that intention in mind. Part of the fun of cobbling together leg sleeves done this way is that you end up with weird gaps, and then you have to figure out what kinds of pieces you want to put where. I do more or less know exactly what's going there already, however. I won't be getting to that right away. I have other things to do first. The next couple sessions I have with Alex will be, for example, just polishing what we've already done. The Mind Flayer needs a second pass yet. Even though it's doing really well on one pass, it's one pass only. So we will be doing details and the second pass on that. Finishing touches on the bat, and the background around the bat will need to be polished up and connected more to the knee tattoo that she did, the Beholder. Yeah, so those will be my next 3 sessions with Alex. I was actually supposed to get tattooed by her this coming Wednesday, and then again get tattooed by Terry on Friday, but she actually had to reschedule. She had some things come up, and I'm not sweating it because I had 3 sessions last week, and I was to have 3 sessions again this week, as I've already had my session with Rick today. But I can honestly say that I'm not built to go that pace at this point in my tattoo career or journey. I would have done it, and it would have been fine, obviously, and I wouldn't have complained either. I would have made a vlog for each one, and I would have healed them all. But I wasn't really looking forward to having 6 sessions in 2 weeks. There was a point in my life where that would have been not even enough, actually, in I would say 2014 to 2016-ish, maybe 2017 as well. I was going between 3 to 5 sessions a week sometimes. There was one day in particular where I had a session on my leg in the morning, and then the same leg got tattooed at a different shop, completely different style and a different artist, 3 or 4 hours later. So the same leg was tattooed twice, and 2 decent sized pieces too. I think I spent around 7 or 8 hours getting tattooed that day. 2 different shops. So this was not one concurrent project. I've done that lots, God knows. The longest session I've ever had, I have people ask me about that all the time, was actually 12 hours. I've never done like anything longer than that, and I have no ambition to. That's when I got the 2 roses on my head originally done. It was with a really slow artist, but a very good artist. And at the end of that session, I was not in so much pain and you know, dying. I was just bored and tired. I don't think that there's really ever much of a good reason to do that kind of a thing. So I think it's better to do smaller sessions more often, personally. But it is what it is. People will do what they'll do. I'm not going to grief anyone for how they want to do things. Um, but I think that you'll have a better time having shorter sessions more often. I understand this is not always going to be the case for people traveling and stuff like this, getting large projects done with a specific artist, but if you can help it, I think the work will heal and age better if done in smaller increments more often. So, with that said, I put in probably around 10 hours last week, and I was on course to do that again this week, but that is not going to be the case, thankfully, and I don't mind having just 2 sessions this week. That feels like a relief. And Alex and I will be doing the bat and the red background the following week. I was just going to have 2 sessions that week, but now I believe I'll be having 3 because I did plan to have either the second pass of the pumpkin alien that my wife did that week, done for the second time, or a new tattoo and another gap on my right leg. It depends on the day. We'll see what she comes up with. I give her free reign. She's the only one that I give no direction to, and I kind of like it that way. She knows me pretty well, and so I just leave it to her to come up with what she wants to do. Loose guidelines are that I want another little monster thing there to go with that leg. The only tattoo so far, well, I guess I have 2 tattoos on that leg that aren't of the same theme. I have the dog portrait and the Mr. Hanky, which brings me to my next point. That is what I'll be doing this coming Friday, so I guess 3 or 4 days from now. I will be having the finishing touches and background added to the Mr. Hanky tattoo, who looks amazing right now. You would never know that was over blackout. And then the second pass on the dog portrait, which I actually think we're going to be darkening in some places, not lightening, as the white has really taken over the black. I showed that in the last video, so I don't need to talk too much about that, but the white really has taken dominance over the black there and lightened up quite a bit over time, and I can imagine that that will continue to some degree for a while. The tattoo that Ashlyn did on my knee is healing up, or not knee, sorry, calf, is healing up incredibly well. So she's redeemed herself in her own mind. She kind of went into that tattoo session with a bit of a complex, because she gave me a pretty bad heel the first session. But again, I take somewhat equal blame in that, as we did a nearly 10-hour session on my left calf, specifically with white and black on black. And white is very hard to pack. It's way harder to pack in over black than any color, and goes in worse overall, heals worse. And so it's one of those things where I wonder why white became as popular as it did to use over black, but it is what it is. I understand people are attempting to get something like black and gray, but they would be much better served to open their mind up to color, as color goes in a lot easier and heals a lot better. Less passes will be required to get a decent result with color packing than white packing over black. With that said, I've had 0 issues healing this, and it's going to heal very similar to how it went in. I will be showing off how that tattoo heals up when I do my next leg tattoo update here on Friday. But I'm expecting a pretty positive result. One more thing before I get into today's session. The dots are they're still a long way from flaking, but you can begin to see how this is going to heal, as a lot of them have blown out incredibly, and some of them are very thin. So for example, that dot won't be there, that dot won't be there, that dot will be there. More and more blowouts are showing up. Most of the thumb will be there. The blown out dots are all going to stay more or less how they look, and then the thin ones are getting thinner by the day and will be gone in short order. The thinning out means that they're not properly in there, and that's perfectly okay. We expected that. That's exactly what we expected to happen, was that some of them would blow out obscenely and others wouldn't, and some of them are insanely blown out. I'm expecting this whole patch in here to be pretty blown out. Some of them just take longer. You can see that through here. There's this kind of blue discoloration throughout my palm where the ink is spreading underneath the surface. and that means that most of that is blown out. But there are some spots that are really thin, mainly up near the tops of my fingers, which, to be honest with you guys, I burned off most of the feeling and usable good skin on my fingertips from 20 years of cooking. When Terry was dotting these spots in, I had almost no feeling at all. Similar to the callus down here, there was very little feeling, if any, throughout there as well. So I'm not expecting an overly positive result there as either. But this has been zero trouble to heal, and we're now about 5 days in. So it's going to be a few weeks before we see the fully peeled results, because palms take forever to peel. But it has been of zero discomfort to me to heal this tattoo, and so before long we'll be doing the right hand as well, and I expect a very similar result in there as well. I think I actually have maybe a little less callus on my right hand somehow, even though I'm right-handed. So then finally, Rick and I had another session. Never any rush to get to this, especially we're on session 102, and it's not to say that I'm of no interest in this project whatsoever. It's that I understand it. For example, my sessions on my left arm get less clicks and less average watch time than anything else that I do, and it's because there's clear as day, there's a waning interest in the project, and I have bad that myself. I don't blame anyone for not wanting to hear another update on this sleeve after 2.5 years of working on it now. But it was a good session, and I'm expecting a good result. Everything that was done in here I expect to do really well. There's some nice changes, like the red background for the pinky red inside of the tentacle here. That was black prior, and I think that's going to be a really cool effect, similar to the rest of it. And it does have a nice cohesion, and it's nice and bright even in the shitty video that Rick took. Mostly all of Rick's videos and photos are pretty bad, and it is what it is. He's not a photographer, he's a tattooer, but a lot of tattoo artists will they like to get good at taking a photo, because if you take a bad photo, it doesn't matter how good the tattoo is, it will look like dog shit. So it is what it is. I'm not expecting him to become a photographer overnight, but I will show off how this healed Friday when I make that vlog. It will be fully peeled by then, guaranteed, because usually by Wednesday, after a Monday session, I'm already peeling. So this will be good and peeled by then. It will be more settled than my palm, so I guarantee that. I would bet a lot of money on that, and I would guarantee you I would win that bet. With that said, we're going to be heading back up here again. We actually did this, I would say 6 or 7 weeks ago. We brought this up to snuff for, I think it was one of the last things that we did before we started the recolor, all the bright colors and all the more simple bold colors that we started on. So it's actually, it's really good already, but just to bring it up more to this kind of level of color is the intention there. After that, we will finally be hitting the elbow again. I have my next few weeks with Rick mapped out, so that whole session is going to be on this section of the arm, and in hopes to get the suction cup and this chunk of the arm here a little bit better. Meaningfully and important to note, the elbow is better than it's ever been since the last session, and the lime weight did stay in there. Some of the color did as well. It's just a shame because this elbow is really as bad, but there's nothing in there that's integral to the sleeve. It doesn't really matter that much. Whereas this is a connecting point in the sleeve where it's more continuous rather than big pieces. It does make a worse difference that elbow isn't perfect. So we're going to keep hitting it to as many times as we have to until it gets to a place where I'm more or less content with it before moving on to anything else. So yeah, that's more or less what I got. I think we worked about 2.5 hours today. That's usual for a Rick session. But happy with the color palette that we've got going here. I do think it works well. These greeny blues seem to heal better overall, and they have a nice shine to them. So I am much happier with this direction. if even there isn't always much to say about a session. It's all going more or less how I want it to. So anyway, I'll be talking to you guys here again in a few days. Have a great day.